Introducing my all-wheel drive K-swapped EG hatch build. Well guys, welcome back to the channel. It is bright and early. Hopefully we are going to get a lot done with this car. Val, the person who's going to be coming to fix our frame, is just around the corner. He is over at Devon's shop helping him out first, and then he'll be stopping by to try to fix this frame. But we are running into a slight issue. Yesterday when I was putting the new front end on the car, I realized I did not actually order a new hood for this car, and that is something that is going to be very crucial in making sure everything is lined up. So this morning before Val gets here, I'm going to try to call a couple junkyard places, see if anyone has a hood, so at least we can get this thing aligned. The issue is all of the places open up at 8. It is not 8 o'clock yet, and I'm worried that Val will beat me here.
Yeah, all right buddy, bye.
The first place we have called is a bust, but we're going to go ahead and call a few more places and cross our fingers somebody has a hood. Well, I guess the reason this place isn't answering is they don't open until 9:30. So I have almost 2 hours to kill. Right now we have the car up in the air and we are about to go ahead and remove the fuel tank. Couple reasons for that. The first and main reason is we can no longer use that fuel tank when we go all-wheel drive, so it needs to get removed anyway. But also, I'm not just gonna be painting the chassis. I'll also be recoating the entire undercarriage.
14.7.
So the height's fine?
Huh?
So the height's the same?
Yes, height is same. So now we need to find out if this height is the same as the back height to see if the front rails are straight. So we're talking about what, 15 exact, and it's 15 exact here too.
Okay.
So that means your car is even like this, and even from left to right and from front to back. Okay. So now we can get a measurement from the floor. It's not gonna be accurate. It's just gonna tell you if you have a F-top rails.
Okay.
So see, right here we have what, 25.75, right? Slightly lower.
Yeah.
Slightly. And I also understand this can be bent.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, it's
and a 26.18. See, that's where your half inch is.
yeah.
Because that's the reason you have a collapse of a tower here.
Because it's higher, so this needs to get pushed down.
Yes. So the rail needs to be pushed down while this
Stays still.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
So for that you need a frame rack.
Okay. All right, Val made his way over to the shop and he was looking at my frame to see if this is something that he is able to fix off of a frame rack. And unfortunately, his conclusion is this needs to get on a frame rack, and he is not able to do this as his frame rack currently has a car on it. And he's heading out for vacation and won't be able to do this until the end of December. He recommended me a few different places and told me how to do it if I wanted to give it a shot as well. So we might be seeing in a later on video to see if I can DIY fix my frame, but I'll show you guys what he found. The first thing he checked was to see if this chassis was squared, and how you do that is, I believe I'm gonna be explaining this right. You're going to have chassis bolt holes that are the same on either side. So we grabbed the tape measure from this bolt hole, measured all the way to this point on the frame rail, and then did it on both sides, and we found that this one was tweaked out. Now I'm doing this one hand, so it's going to be a little bit inaccurate, but I have the tape measure in the bolt hole, and we go to the end of the frame rail. You can see the measurement right there. Now we go to this side. This is so difficult with one hand. And it is almost, it's like 3/4 of an inch tweaked out this way. Not only is this frame rail tweaked out like this, but it is also lifted. It does explain the crinkling here. I was wondering how that happened. It is because this frame rail got completely pushed up. This one might be a little bit easier to measure to show you guys. If we look here, it is 16 and just barely over 1/4. But if we make our way over to this one, this side isn't even quite 16. So all of that showed us that this thing really does need to get on a frame rack to get properly corrected. We also did go through to make sure the rest of the chassis was good. We measured the height from like the jack points, I believe it was, on all 4 corners to make sure that nothing else was tweaked. So it looks like this is the only damage we have here, which he is saying is a very simple fix. It should just be a couple hours, but you do need a frame rack. But not only is this man an expert with like framework, he is a body guy. He paints, fixes frames. He does the craziest rebuilds. I'll have his channel linked down below, but he's an expert when it comes to anything car related. He was giving me tons and tons of pointers on what I need to do with this car. I have labels everywhere on how I need to prep this entire chassis, and I have a full list of parts that I need to buy. He went out of his way to actually even order me everything I need for this car because he was scared I was gonna miss something, which is really, really, really nice of him. So everything should be getting delivered tomorrow, I hope, to get this thing ready for paint. I'll walk you guys around the car and show you the things that he told me what to do, at least the things that I picked up on. As you guys know, this car has already had body work, primer work, filler work done on this before I even owned it, but all of this needs to get redone, as with some inspection, they did not sand down the paint whatsoever, so this primer and body filler will fail if we just paint right over it. So every spot that has primer and filler work, we are going to 180 grit on a block and then prime over it again. So all the spots that are like this need 180 and we're gonna prime over it. And then on the edges that we are doing 180 on, we are going to use a 400 grit DA to blend it in and get rid of some of these deep scratch marks. He did say I could take that 400 DA even onto the filler work area. But yeah, so there's lots of spots on this car that we are going to have to completely sand through. I think the game plan is we're just gonna go through this entire car and just sand it down with the 400 grit. And then on the areas like this, we'll need to obviously prime over it again. But he was telling me how many hours to expect to be in on this paint job and just the prep alone. With the inside and outside, I'm spending probably 4 days in prep alone, and then another couple days painting the inside and the outside. But he's given me lots and lots of helpful pointers and information, so it should make this go a little bit easier, but I know there's going to be things that we are going to run into that we need to solve. But today what we need to tackle is getting the interior ready for prep. He told me that is what I should start on, get the interior prepped and sprayed out, and then make my way onto the outside of the car, which was what I was planning anyway. But since I am wanting this to be a nice show car, street car, race car, I am going to be removing the sound deadening. So I'll paint the whole chassis so it'll look all gorgeous. This does not look good. If I was running carpet, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't even paint the inside of the car, but I want this thing to look gorgeous. So we're about to go make a trip and get some dry ice. It is going to make removing this a million times easier, as it will quite literally like freeze this completely, and we can chisel all of that away. But also on the interior, I was planning on spraying everything, but he made a very good point that a lot of this I don't need to spray, as I will be putting in a headliner and the side like plastic pieces and whatnot. So all of this stuff here I need to clean, but I can just mask the side off and the roof. I don't need to spray that, as the condition is good and it will never be visible again. It'll just be a lot less work for us. This is where all the intricate sanding and whatnot comes in play. So with all of that sanded off, it'll be very easy. All we are literally doing is the bottom of this chassis and the door cards. You see, in my mind, I feel like this is going to be very, very easy. Even when he was explaining it, I'm like, this is easy. But I know for a fact, when we start going to actually lay some base coat on here, it is going to be very, very difficult to do. I'm sure even the sanding process and getting this thing ready for base coat will be a challenge in itself, but it should be fun, and I'm excited to learn some paint work. Also, huge shout out to Bryan. He swung by and dropped off a hood for us. So if we are able to squeeze in to get this thing aligned, and I don't have my new hood in. We have his. He also came to give me a ton more knowledge with this car, more parts I need to buy. And in a few days here, we are going to be dropping everything off: valve cover, intake manifold, subframes, to get powder coated by him. Well, we made it back to the shop with our dry ice. Now let's go ahead and start pouring this down. This is also something I have never done before, so it should be pretty fun. We're gonna go ahead and remove all the bolts. And I think we're just gonna lay it across, let it sit for a little bit, and then we can chisel it right off. And surprisingly, I thought this dry ice would be a lot more expensive. It was 30 bucks for 11.9 pounds. I am also going to be keeping every receipt of stuff I send on like parts and tools. So at the end of this build, we can do a tally and see how much I spent on this build. But to be safe while we do this, I am going to be wearing welding gloves so I don't lose my fingers. Here, this is so cool. It is already doing its thing. It is getting the detoning frozen. Oh, even this side is freezing. We're gonna let this sit for a minute and then we're gonna start chiseling it. That is so cool. What? What the hell? Now that was probably one of the coolest things I have ever done. That came off like ease. I'm just looking around and I'm looking under the chassis. This whole bitch is frosted. That's amazing. Oh my God, it looks like it's snowing. It's its own biome under my Honda right now. That is amazing. Huh. Now this stuff is so damn tiring. I'm about 2.5 hours, 3 hours in to removing all of the sound deadening, but it is all gone, guys. Now I ran out of the 10 pounds pretty quick here. After I got done with the passenger side, it started getting smaller and smaller, which made it harder and harder to remove all of the sound deadening. So I think the game plan is it's all pretty much removed. I'm gonna go back and get 20 pounds. And I am going to finalize this off, get this done, because the game plan is tomorrow I want to start sanding this interior. We still have some things we got to get removed, but tomorrow I want us to start beginning our prep. All of the paint and stuff has been ordered. It ended up being a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. But Val went out of his way to order me absolutely everything I will need from this car, from tape to absolutely everything. So huge, huge, huge thank you to Val for going out of your way to do that for me. He wanted to make sure that I was not waiting on any products to get this thing prepped. So that was a very, very nice thing for him to do. I think the paint and all the stuff will be delivered today. If not today, tomorrow morning, and we can start prepping this out more. While I go and grab some more dry ice so we can clean this up some more, I'm going to grab a shop vac, as I do not have one and I do not want to be picking up a million tiny pieces of debris. Plus, a shop vac is always nice to have in a shop. We made it back. We got 15 more pounds of dry ice. Kind of overkill, but I don't want to have to go back again. I'd rather have extra. And we also have our nice new shop vac. So we can go ahead and finish off this interior, get this thing clean. So when tomorrow comes, we can jump right into getting this thing sanded and ready for paint. Well boys, another couple hours later, we have the interior complete. All of the sound deadening is out. The thing that took me the longest was getting all of these little drain hole plugs removed. There were 8 total, 2 on the passenger and driver footwell, 1 in the seat, and then 1 more in each rear seat as well. Did not even know those were a thing. After a couple hours of fighting it, we finally got it out. I don't think I approached it the right method. I froze it I feel like heat would have went a longer way. I'm not quite sure. Doesn't matter, but we got it all done. Now, I don't know if it's because I've been here all day long or I've been inhaling carbon dioxide for the last 6 hours. I have a ginormous headache. I think that is going to wrap up today's video. We accomplished everything that I wanted, except we unfortunately weren't able to get the frame rail fixed in today's episode, but we got the interior ready to start sanding. But today was a fun episode as we got to play around with some dry ice, which is something I've never really played with before. And we were able to get all of the sound deadening removed with really no issues at all. Besides, it took a very long time, with the main issue being all of these plugs. But we got it removed. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.